Hello viewers, welcome to another video. In the last few videos we talked about the macro recorder, how to record macros and the shortcomings of the macro recorder. I also said that learning to write macros is always useful and you should always strive to learn the language. The first step in learning any language is the concepts. There are not many concepts that we are going to discuss here, but whatever we are going to discuss is very important and is at the base of learning to write macros. In this video, we will discuss about objects, their properties, methods and events. We will talk about collections. We will talk about object hierarchy. We will talk about global object and we will also talk about object browser. So let us start with objects. What is an object? An object is a thing which does something. For example, car is an object. An object has properties which are kind of settings that the object can have. For example, the car object has wheels property. It has 4 wheels. Property values can be different also. So some cars have 3 wheels, some cars have 4 wheels. So 3 or 4 is the value of the property here. Objects have methods also. For example, television object has a volume method which we can increase or decrease. So increase or decrease can be methods of the television object, something that the television does. In Excel programming, we are working with objects like Excel itself. We have files called workbooks, we have sheets, we have ranges, we have charts, we have pivot tables. These are all different kinds of objects that Excel provides. There are hundreds of objects in Excel and those objects have many hundreds of properties and methods. While programming, we change certain properties of an object to achieve the desired result. For example, here on this sheet I have shown you workbook object, which is the file that you open in Excel, and that workbook object has certain properties like name, full name, hash password, path, and there are many more which I have shown in the picture alongside. This picture is of the object browser which shows you the workbook object and all the members of that workbook object. Properties, methods and events are collectively called members of that object. Properties can be read-only and read-write. I have shown you an example here. It shows at the bottom of the object browser whether the property is read-only or read-write. Some properties change automatically when you do something else to the object. For example, the full name property changes when you save the workbook in another folder using the save as method. So programming in a nutshell is nothing but changing the properties and methods of different objects to achieve desired results. Properties, methods and events are shown by different icons here. So this icon with a pointing finger is a property. This green icon is a method. And these lightning bolt icons are all the events that the object provides. Let us move on to events now. An event is something that happens when you do certain things in Excel. For example, when you click a button, an event fires. When you select a cell, another event fires. When you select another workbook, an event fires, and so on. We can grab those events and attach our macros to them. For example, I can right click this button and assign a macro to its click event, and then the macro is run when the button is clicked. It is as easy as that. We can also program certain other events other than button click which are provided by the object model. All the events in Excel object model are shown by this lightning bolt icon. Excel object model provides various types of collections, like all the files that can be opened in Excel are called workbooks, and there is a collection for workbooks. So here in this example you can see it shows all the open workbooks or files in Excel when you click the switch windows button. Most of the objects in Excel have their collection objects. For example, pivot table object has a collection named pivot tables. Worksheet has a collection named worksheets. Charts are also a collection of chart objects. and tables is a collection of all the table objects in the file. The benefit of using collections is that you can use them in loops. Like I have used a workbook object in a loop, and I am taking out the name of each workbook in the immediate window. So this loop loops through all the workbooks that are open in Excel using the application.workbooks object and gets the name of each workbook and shows it in the immediate window. You will be working with more object collections when programming Excel. All the objects in Excel are arranged in a hierarchy. For example, you can open a file in Windows Explorer. As soon as you open the file, first the application object opens, which is the Excel object. In that Excel object, the file opens. So the file is inside the application object, or the file is one level below the application object. Application object is at the top of everything else. So what I mean here is that the file cannot open unless the application object has opened, unless Excel has opened, and Excel is called the application object. Inside the workbook, there are one or more worksheets. So worksheets are at the next level after workbooks. Inside worksheet, we have multiple cells, and those cells are called range objects. Each cell has a value property, which is the value that appears inside the cell. So if you want to access the value of a cell, you need to write application.workbooks and the name of the workbook in double quotes, .worksheets, the name of the worksheet in double quotes, .range, the name of the range in double quotes, .value. So you are using collections here to reach to a specific workbook, and from that workbook to a specific sheet, and then to a specific range, and you are then grabbing the value of it. Or in another example, you can take the interior object, that is the background of a range object, and change its color index property. So to reach the color index property, you have to write this line of code. So that is the complete object hierarchy related to every object in Excel. Do we always have to write such long lines of code while accessing objects? No. In fact, we can write code like this, which is much shorter than this line of code. And the reason we can write this is because they have provided all the important objects as a shortcut in the global object here. So whatever is appearing inside the globals object can be accessed directly. But when you are writing this line of code, you are accessing the active global object, meaning that you are accessing whatever workbook is active and whatever worksheet is active if you write this line of code. So it will write 25 in whatever workbook or worksheet is active at the point of time when this line of code is running. If you want to target a specific workbook and a specific worksheet of your choice, then you have to write this complete line of code telling Excel explicitly that you want to target book 1 out of all the books available here. You want to target sheet 1 out of that workbook, and you want to write a value in the range A1 of that specific worksheet. If you write this line of code, it will write that value in whatever workbook or worksheet is active at the time of running this line. You can look at all the objects that are available in the globals object when you select the globals from object browser. The object browser is the tool that shows you all the properties, methods, events, and other information like type of property, read only or read write, etc. It allows you to search for objects. It shows you constants and their values. It works like a dictionary. Whenever you want to look for any object, property, or method, you open the object browser. The shortcut to open it in Visual Basic Editor is F2. Thanks for your time, and I will see you in the next video.